buying pre-bagged concrete and mortar products versus making your own versions of those. So which is the right thing to do? Should you just buy the pre-bagged stuff? Should you make your own? Is one better than the other? And as with most things, it's going to come down to what your project is. What is the intended use for this concrete or mortar? There is a time and a place, I suppose, to use the pre-bagged stuff. I tend to lean towards making your own. We'll talk about that in a second, but why would you ever want to buy the pre-bagged stuff? Well, it's consistent. That's a thing that the pre-bagged stuff is. It's also pretty convenient. If you only needed a limited amount, you're digging a couple of post holes or some other relatively small quantity, well, you could make a pretty strong argument for using the pre-bagged stuff right there. It's pretty quick, pretty easy, not very expensive, widely available. So what situation do you want to start using your own mixes for? Well, that's for most of the stuff that I deal with, which is decorative concrete, ornamental concrete. Concrete is a hobby, is kind of how I like to term it. And basically, what that means is you're not out there pouring sidewalks and driveways, like large commercial amounts of concrete. You're dealing with smaller, ornate. You're kind of like testing the edges or abilities of what the concrete can do, making it really viscous or making it really strong or making it, whisper thin to a feathered edge. Things like this through admixtures and augmenting the mix design. So in theory, I could even do that with the pre-bagged stuff, but the thing is, you're actually still paying a premium if you're buying the pre-bagged concrete and mortar products. They don't seem like they're that much of a premium because they're very affordable, but if you make and use a lot of concrete and mortar products, you would be better served to make your own by just getting the base ingredients that are in those pre-bagged products. What are in those pre-bagged products? It's actually very simple. So, one, we will have Portland cement, probably type general use, type 1, type 10, type N for normal. It depends on where you're located, what it's going to be called, but it's the most regular, most normal Portland cement, not masonry cement product. Now, when you make a concrete or mortar mix, everything is going to be made in ratio to 1 part of Portland cement. And it doesn't matter what that part is in terms of the physical size. It could be a small container like this. It could be a shovel full, a bucket full. It all depends on how much finished batch or how much yield you need from this product. But when you're designing the mix, it's all based on the ratio with 1 part Portland cement starting things off. So what's next commonly? Well, we've got two things. We've got concrete and mortar. Mortar is the cement and sand. Concrete is the cement, sand, and also gravel. Let's talk about the concrete bags here for a second. So we've got 1 part Portland cement, probably about 2 parts sand, and probably about 3 parts gravel. I mean, I don't work for these companies and I don't have knowledge of their proprietary blend that they use, but it's probably something pretty close to that. And if you were to use that ratio and make yourself a concrete product, it would be a usably strong concrete product. So this is kind of the starting point, understanding what's in these bags. We talked about the concrete bag. Well, what's in the mortar bag? Well, it's super complicated because we have the concrete ingredients except the rocks. That's it. That's all that's in the mortar bag here. Probably, again, 2-to-1, perhaps a 3-to-1 mix. Something like that is what would be in a pre-bagged mortar product. So now that there's zero mystery left at all into what's in these bags, you understand what you're buying. And here's the thing. If you make your own product from Portland cement, sand, and gravel, and you buy your sand and gravel from the same location that you're buying this Portland cement, presumably, like let's say a big box hardware store, you lose all of your economy of yield, and suddenly that pre-bagged concrete and mortar product is more affordable. Why is this and how does this work? Well, this is kind of the tipping point for when you take concrete as a hobby and turn your source materials into something extraordinarily affordable. When you buy bulk sand or bulk aggregates in general, sand and gravel if you're making concrete products, or just sand if you're making mortar products. We'll just talk about sand in general because for a lot of concrete casting and decorative stuff, we're not really making concrete, we're making a mortar product. We don't need the bulk of yield that we get with the extra gravel, so we just use sand and cement. So let's talk about that for a second here. If you can buy your sand $30 for 2,000 pounds of it, holy heck, that is a huge, huge savings opportunity, because if you bought that same sand by the bag from the big box hardware store, it's going to be $5 or $10 per bag, and you're talking 60-pound bag perhaps. So the economy of buying it in bulk is just absolutely where it's at when you want to make a lot of stuff and you want it to be as affordable as possible. You are giving up the consistency of having somebody else pre-mix the sand and cement for you and put it in a nicely sized bag, but that's it, and it's not really that big of a convenience. Once you start, like I buy big bins to store my sand in so I can buy it, a few thousand pounds at a time. It's crazy affordable, and sand never goes bad. Just set it aside and use it as you need it. Buying bulk sand can be a little challenging. It's not like there's big signs that say bulk sand supplier on the side of the road, kind of. So here's the thing. There's a couple of sands which are the wrong sand to get, and I just kind of want to help you to avoid getting those. First of all, play sand. Here's a good thing to remember. Play sand looks like the right stuff. It's not the right stuff to use. And the reason why is that play sand has been tumbled to make it soft and comfortable and round the edges on all this coarse sand. And that's great for making it, comfortable and safe for kids to use as a sandbox, but not ideal at all for making concrete. We want that jagged, irregular shaped sand, as that enhances the strength of a concrete or mortar mix. So we want what's known as sharp sand. Now there's a couple different kinds of sharp sand. Some's going to have larger stone aggregate in there. Some is going to be very fine and just consistently sized sand grains. That's ideally what you want to get. You can tell by looking at sand whether you're looking at something that's very high quality, something that's kind of middle of the road, or something that's kind of low quality. Where do you find this sand? Bulk landscaping yards, like when you see a large pickup trucks or trailers that pick up mulch or topsoil or things like that, where are they getting that stuff from? Those places often have that bulk sand that you're looking for, and it's going to be very, very affordable. Go there, ask them what kind of sands they carry, what's the best looking stuff they have, and I brought some sand with me to show you, to help you to kind of visually identify what you should be looking for. First of all, regard this bulk sand that I purchased, which maybe isn't the best stuff out there, but I live kind of in a small rural area, and there's not like the world of choices available to me, but I was able to find this stuff, and it's very affordable. Like, look how high quality that sand is. Look at it. Look how high quality it is. I agree. Excellent sand. But let's look at some other sand options here. Well, I brought my sand selection here with me. First of all, remember how I said don't buy sand from the local big box hardware store because you're going to massively overpay? Some people are going to buy it anyway, because you know what? Not everybody has the ability to get thousands of pounds of sand, or where you're going to store it if you live in an apartment building. And you can do a lot with a bag of sand, admittedly. This is where I started as well when I was doing benchtop stuff. So no judgment here. Let's talk about this kind of sand because this is useful for you to see what it looks like. So this is the Quickcrete brand all-purpose sand. And when you're standing there in the store and you're reading the labels, they all kind of sound general purpose, all purpose, like they sound the same, they're totally different. I'll show you this example here. So this stuff's actually pretty good. Let me get a container here. Okay, stuff's pretty good. Look at it. Okay. It's pretty good, I'll admit. I would use that for making concrete. And the only reason I wouldn't is just because it's not affordable when you have to buy it by the bag like that. But you've seen it now, so you know what it looks like. Again, it kind of looks like play sand, right? But it's not play sand, notably. Here's another one. I kept this just to show you. My wife loves that I kept this. Okay, so this is another brand. Quickcrete's kind of, one of the bigger suppliers of stuff in the area I live. Don't get hung up on the labels too much. This stuff's kind of available everywhere. This one's called tube sand. Quickcrete tube sand. Sounds good, right? Not so good. Here, let me get a scoop of this one for you. not great. I mean, like you could make some pretty good concrete or mortar out of that. Maybe concrete more so than mortar, because here's the problem. If you're doing any kind of mortar application that's like thin, feathered edge, anything like that, that larger aggregate size is gonna be a real bummer. That's not what I want to see in a high quality sand product. When I'm buying bulk sand, it better not look like that. And now you know what the tube sand looks like, so you can avoid that also. You buy your sand in a bulk supply, you store it away somewhere, it lasts forever. Buy cement by the 88-pound bag, Portland cement, type 1, type 10, type N for normal, type GU for general use, and mix that with your sand at 2 to 3 parts sand to 1 part cement. That's going to give you a lot of different usable mix consistencies. And then you can start to explore things like augmenting the mix further with PVA bonding additives or an acrylic fortifier or water reducer. There's all kinds of stuff that you could be doing, but it all starts with replacing those pre-bagged concrete and mortar products with the base ingredients, Portland cement, sand, and gravel, and then you can begin down the road of learning about and experimenting and making stuff. If you're going to experiment with these kinds of alternative concrete mix designs and augmenting with admixtures, you're going to have some failures sometimes. Like, assuming you don't have a professional teaching you this over your shoulder, you're going to just have to try to make stuff. And that's the great thing about making your base ingredients much, much more affordable, because you can afford to make stuff, break it, throw it out, no problem. And then once you've refined your process, you'll be able to produce consistent results, high quality pieces, which presumably you'd be able to sell if you wanted to for much more than it cost you to make them, because the raw ingredients that you're using are so affordable for this hobby. Pre-bagged concrete or mortar versus making your own. I'm definitely for making your own, but it depends on the project that you're working on. If you're just doing a couple of small things around the house, or you need some consistency and you need it conveniently, the pre-bagged concrete and mortar is good to use. It is very convenient, it is cheap, it is easy. If you want to get into this as a more regular hobby or want to start to explore more cost-effective solutions for your concrete or mortar, definitely starting with your own mix designs with cement, sand, and gravel is the way to go. If you found this information helpful, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel.